Want to stand out on social media? I have a secret for you. Lean in because it's all about your story. Maybe you knew that because you've been following me for some time, but did you know that your posts are 22 times more likely to resonate with your audience when you use the power of story? Okay, I have your attention now, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you exactly how you get started using story when it comes to your brand. Welcome back to Mondays with Michelle. Before we dive into today's content, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified when a new video is released every single Monday. Today's video is all about brand story, and I put together a fun quiz for you where you can identify your own brand story and where you fall into the 5 most popular story arcs. It's also going to give you the information that you need to market your story in the online space. You can go ahead and take that quiz at brandmerry.com/quiz, and I will remind you at the end of this video as well. Your story matters. I want you to remember that. And so the first thing that we have to do is get in touch with who you are. It's about your personal story. It can be really easy to think that your brand story is just focused on your business or how your business came to be. But the key is that you are your brand. And so you really have to understand who you are in order for this entire thing to actually work. If you don't know what makes you, then you're gonna have a really hard time creating a business and more specifically a brand around that. Before I even begin to work with my clients on the actual branding process, we get back in touch with their story. We uncover their own personal story and we map out some of the key chapters that have led them to where they are today. And you can do this right now. In fact, grab a piece of paper and write down the 3 most prominent transitions that you have experienced in your own story. I want you to think about 4 things. For each transition, I want you to identify what happened, how you were impacted, what specifically changed for you, and what lessons you learned due to the transition. This is the very first step in identifying what work you actually want to do in the world and will get you started in connecting with your story as a way to connect deeper with your audience. That's step 1. Get in touch with your personal story because you, lady, are the focus, the center of your brand. Now, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball at you and let you know that your brand story isn't really just about you. I know, it's weird. But the first thing that you have to do is understand who you are, so then we can understand who your audience is, and then we can identify how we connect the two. So the second thing we need to do is identify your audience. I feel like I say this in every single video, but you really need to do market research. If you haven't done market research, or you kind of have passed your market research, then now is the time to do just that. For the purpose of our video today, I'm going to share with you some of the top questions that you need to ask your audience or be able to identify about your audience in order to get the pieces of information that you need in order for brand story to actually work. Number 1, what is their struggle at this moment? Number 2, what do they desire? AKA, what are they working towards? Number 3, what is standing in their way? This is often considered an obstacle. And number 4, what needs to happen to get them from struggle, their current state, to desire, what they ultimately want? By identifying these key pieces, you'll be able to better understand what parts of your story you can share with your audience as a way to maximize the impact. So we've started to dive into your story, the thing that makes you, the center of your brand. We have identified your audience, who you're ultimately speaking to, because if you don't know how to frame your story, how to frame your content in a way that resonates with your audience, you're gonna miss the mark right there. Now we need to identify and really map out your story arc. Typically, your brand story arc is what people dive into from the beginning. They want to share with the world how they started their business. But when we just start focusing on our business in the beginning, and again, not you, the center of the brand, we miss a lot of important information that's going to support us down the line. And most entrepreneurs are writing their brand story arcs the wrong way. You've probably read something that sounds similar to, I did this, and then my business was born. And I don't know about you, but that is super freaking boring to me. Everybody's story starts to sound exactly the same. If you watched my video last week, I talked about the power of emotional branding. Your story needs to have a deeper connection for your audience, and that means it needs to showcase some freaking emotion. Don't be cookie cutter with your story and just this, then my business happened. Really take your audience on a journey. You want your story arc to have a clear beginning, middle, and an end. Take your audience on a journey that pulls them in and keeps them engaged. This is where the emotional component comes from. That way, they actually convert, meaning those people who are landing on your About Me page or on your Insta stories actually sign up for your email list and become true fans. Your brand story arc is just one of the types of stories that you can share with your audience. It's often the easiest to identify and the most important, so I suggest that you start there. In my signature program, Roadmap to Freedom, I share with my clients the exact framework to map out their brand story arc, plus the top stories that I recommend sharing with their audience to build trust. After you've identified your brand story arc, you can start to use this everywhere. I highly suggest, obviously, using it on your About Me page, which is the second most popular page on your website. And if you want more information about that, you can check out the link below for a full blog article at brandmerry.com. You can also use your story arc to highlight it on Instagram stories, to share it in a freebie landing page, to talk about it on a podcast. The possibilities are endless with how you can share the ultimate road that led you to where your brand is today and the impact that you want to make in the world. Remember, story is necessary if you want to create a brand that stands out online and makes a deeper connection with your audience. If you are interested in finding out which of the 5 brand story arcs you fall into and how to effectively market that online, you can go to brandmerry.com/quiz or click the link below to take my free quiz.